Hey guys, it's Julian, and the term nuclear family has nothing to do with nuclear energy or nuclear bombs. It was coined in the 1920s, before the nuclear age, and in the phrase, nuclear means something more like central, like the nucleus of an atom. And this central family has been extremely important in our politics, in our everyday lives, and in our media. The Simpsons, the Corleones, the Addams family. Ever since cavemen learned they could paint on walls, they've been painting their family.
The family down the street, through the courtesy of place to be.
Which is why today I want to talk about the most important family in the history of storytelling. That's right, we're talking about Fast and Furious, baby. No, maybe another video. Definitely another video. No, today I want to compare and contrast two families from expertly written stories. The Sopranos, from the TV show The Sopranos, and the Parr family from the hit Pixar movie, the best Pixar movie, The Incredibles. Airing from 1999 to 2007, The Sopranos is the critically acclaimed HBO show about Tony Soprano, the mob boss trying to juggle the mafia, his family, and worst of all, his secret therapy.
So, what seems to be the problem, Mr. Tentacles?
It all started when I was born.
Released in 2004, The Incredibles is the wildly successful Pixar franchise about Bob Parr trying to juggle his family life with his new working life and his secret heroics. Now, wait a minute, this is starting to sound all too familiar. I mean, a movie like this and a show like that, how could they even possibly have any similarities? I know you're skeptical. It's like trying to compare Toy Story to Game of Thrones.
Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am. Big and stronger too. Come on, Woody.
But you would be surprised by how many similarities there are between the world of The Sopranos and The Incredibles. So let's start there, with the world. The Incredibles is arguably the darkest Pixar movie. And I know, me saying that sort of feels like... But in case you forgot, The Incredibles opens with a man attempting suicide, and then that man sues Mr. Incredible for, quote, ruining his death, which snowballs into the government outlawing superheroes entirely. This is heavy stuff for a kid's movie, which makes it much easier to relate to the adult show The Sopranos. The world of both of these stories center around an organization, whether that be crime or crime fighting. And at the center of the organization lies a family, the Incredibles, or the Parr family, and the Sopranos. And at the center of the family, there's the father, who's fulfilling his traditional role of providing and protecting. That's where the writing in both of these stories truly shine. Tony and Bob's family aren't just a family in the story, they are the family of the story. Everything revolves around them, and that adds this impeccable tension to what would normally be just everyday family dynamics. But, and that's a big but, there lies a core difference in these family dynamics. The Incredibles is a good movie about a good family. The Sopranos is a good show about a bad, bad family.
Hey, Mr. GQ. Got a ticket. How you doing, Mikey? How you doing?
Bob Parr and Tony Soprano are both big, strong guys. And while that might at first seem like a shallow characteristic, nothing is more telling than how a man uses his strength. In the first couple of minutes of the entire movie, Mr. Incredible uses his super strength to save a cat from a tree and stopped an armed car chase in one fell swoop. Classic Boy Scout heroism. So how does Tony Soprano impress us with his strength in his first physical scene? I think you know the answer already.
He's broken, the bone's coming through.
Let me see.
The dividing line between The Sopranos and The Incredibles becomes much more clear when we deconstruct our two main characters. Take another aspect of life that both of our two main characters share. Bob and Tony both work. Now, Tony makes most of his money unscrupulously, but he's still a legitimate business owner. He owns a legitimate drinking establishment that just so happens to have some live adult entertainment in it. And in this case, it's the similarities that make them different. Tony and Bob are both bad at their jobs. Only Bob is a bad insurance agent because he's a good person who approves every single claim that comes across his desk. Tony is a bad business owner because he sleeps with half of his workers and berates and beats on the other half. I know it's looking like these two characters have nothing in common, and yeah, that's pretty much true, they are fundamental opposites, but there is a glaring similarity if you know how to spot it. Tony and Bob can both be, at times, self-absorbed narcissists. Bob has a shrine to himself in his own house. He's constantly lamenting his life and hopes that he can go back to his glory days, and Tony does the same thing.
Nowadays, everybody's got to go to shrinks and counselors and go on Sally, Jesse, Raphael and talk about their problems. Whatever happened to Gary Cooper, the strong, silent type? That was an American.
But even though they share some dark sides to their character, at the end of the day, if Mr. Incredible ever met Tony Soprano, he would treat him like a very similar money-obsessed dunce.
You were this close to losing your...
We get it, Bob and Tony, they're layered, they're complex, but they don't hold a candle to their wives, Carmela Soprano and Helen Parr, who are often in opposition to their spouses and very often in the right with that opposition. Carmela and Helen try their best to support their husbands, but they can really only accept so much dishonesty, and Tony and Bob are just so bad at lying. That's what I love about both stories, is that their secrets are sort of open secrets. Everyone knows that Bob sneaks away to do superhero stuff, and Elastigirl, or Helen Parr, just has to take that. And everyone knows that Tony cheats on his wife, and if you bring it up to Carmela, she's gonna downplay it. And if you bring it up to Tony, good luck. But just like reality, secrets never last long and they erupt in a spectacle, a screaming match of cheap shots and moving the goalposts, just like a real, messy, marriage-challenging argument would. These next two scenes are my top 2 favorite couple argument scenes in all of movies and TV.
The Russian called. Your son answered the telephone.
Oh, jeez.
Look, I performed a public service. You act like that's a bad thing.
It is a bad thing, Bob.
What about her cousin?
No.
The nurse who took care of your mother, who I like?
This is not about you, Bob. This is about Dash.
You want to do something for Dash? Then let him actually compete. Let him go out for sport.
Why would the cousin make it up? Because she's jealous! Why? Let go of me!
I will not be made the enemy here. You know why we can't do that.
Because it'd be great!
This is not about you!
When the pop culture news site Ranker polled 47,000 people and asked them to name the TV character that they most hate, Skylar White from Breaking Bad placed at number 3, right below 2 sadistic sexual predators in Joffrey and Ramsay from Game of Thrones. And right above, Livia Soprano, Tony's mom, who you know in season 1 tried to kill him. Her own son. I brought that poll up just to show you how easy it is for an audience to misconstrue this oppositional spouse archetype as just being evil, and how that mistake is never made with The Sopranos or The Incredibles. Skylar White is often thought of as this brat or this stick in the mud for not letting her husband go out, sell meth, and kill people. But even the dumbest, most media illiterate person on earth will watch The Sopranos and recognize the characters for the morally gray, complex characters that they truly are. Except Tony Soprano, he's really just evil.
While the moon her watch is keeping.
Phew, I spent a lot of time on the parents, so let's go over the kids, starting with our eldest daughters, Meadow Soprano and Violet Parr. Part of what inspired me to make this video in the first place are the stark similarities between Meadow and Violet's character. They have the exact same character arc. And I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I like to think that The Incredibles was somehow, sort of a little inspired by The Sopranos, but I hate to be that guy that's like, oh, the kids' movie's actually dark and twisted if you think about it. I hate that. It's stupid. But if you ever own The Incredibles on DVD, then you know that the bonus features for the movie go into some crazy stuff. Here you can see the original opening scene of the movie. It's a bit darker and it's incredible.
Say that again?
But the bonus features also contain the archives of all the heroes from this iconic scene in the movie. and some of the stuff you can find in those archives is wild. I'm going to play an audio recording from the most notorious archive in the bunch, and I want you to read the personality traits of the hero on the screen for me while it plays.
I'm going to combat, so I take a look around, I see if there's any good-looking women who need to be rescued immediately, and then I sort of start from there and work my way down the list. If you've got Tubby Joe Schmo over there with a laser pointed at his head, and he might have to wait in line a little while.
So not only does the Incredibles universe have a womanizing eugenicist hero, but he sounds just like a Sopranos character.
Once in a while, the real kicker is I get these dames, man, these dame villains, and they got the curves and the hair and the big eyes, and boy,
he had balls as big as an Irish broad's ass.
As you can see, The Incredibles and The Sopranos are more similar than you think, and that compounds when you compare Meadow and Violet. Meadow and Violet have the same character arc. They are two teenage girls who are embarrassed by their family, so they try to distance themselves from their family. But through trials and tribulations, they learn that to be the best version of themselves, to fully realize their potentiality, they need to embrace every single aspect of their life, which includes the embarrassing family side. Violet comes into her own as a hero, and Meadow goes on to become a lawyer to stop Italian-American discrimination.
I'll tell you what it is. Anti-Italian discrimination.
That is where these two characters differ. Violet is the voice of reason in her family. She is comedically aware of her environment at all times.
Normal? What do you know about normal? What does anyone in this family know about normal?
Now, wait a minute, young lady.
We act normal, Mom. I want to be normal.
Meadow is the most naive person in the show. She's constantly falling for the excuses that her family gives her as to why they need to commit violent, heinous felonies every single day. Part of what makes The Sopranos the greatest show of all time is how they geniusly connect their A plots to their B plots. And a perfect example of this that also gets down to the root of the difference between Violet and Meadow is Season 3, Episode 6. That's right, we're talking about university. The A-plot follows Meadow as she navigates college life, balancing hard classes, a crazy roommate, and a burgeoning romance. The episode is halfway through the whole show, and it is the hardest time of Meadow's life the audience has seen and ever will see for the rest of the show. The B-plot follows a college-age stripper named Tracy who works at Silvio's bar, the Bada Bing, and we follow Tracy as she navigates abuse that is lobbed her way every day by Tony's mafiosos. Are you connecting the dots yet? The hardest thing Meadow goes through in the entire show is a stressful semester at Columbia University. Tracy has to deal with abuse every day, and all of her money gets kicked up to the bar, which gets kicked up to Silvio, who owns the bar, who's the right-hand man of the Don, Tony Soprano. Meadow desperately wants to know the ugly truth of her family's secret life, but the answer's been right under her nose the whole time, in the textbook she reads, in the dorm room she sleeps in, all paid for, in part, by a stripper named Tracy who's just around the same age as her. Meadow continues to be a staple in the cast and goes on to start a promising law career, and Tracy does not share the same fate, according to the actor who played Tracy. The week that the episode University aired, there was a measurable drop in HBO subscribers because Tracy's fate at the end of that episode was so disheartening. Wait, what happens to Violet again in The Incredibles? She has a school crush, and she learns to use her powers more better, and she changes her hair.
Hey, you're wearing your hair back.
Huh? Oh, yeah. I just, yeah.
It looks good.
Thanks, Dad.
That's it. This video is taking too long, so let's dash through this next part. Get it? AJ and Dash, the two sons. Do you get it? Now, what do AJ and Dash have in common as characters?
Nothing.
Really though, AJ and Dash have the same archetype. They're both this rebellious twerp, but that's really it. And all of their differences sort of stem from the fact that they're parented very differently. Bob encourages Dash to be his best self by telling him to go into sports and supporting him when he does just that. And the last thing Bob wants is his kids to feel unfulfilled with his life like he once did. Tony Soprano wants the same thing for his kids, but his encouragement methods are a little bit different.
Sucks to be you.
What the hell are you doing? Ow! Oh, my elbow!
Pack a bag. Now!
When Dash acts out, he is nurtured and his energy is pointed towards something productive. When AJ acts out, he is forced into the mold his parents made for him until he cracks.
Jesus Christ, AJ. Man, you make me want to cry.
Thanks for watching my video, and my next video is going to be about ranking all of the Metal Gear Solid games, and yes, it took me half a year to play all of them, so if you want to see that video, make sure to subscribe, and if you don't care about that video, well, subscribe anyway. And would you look at the date? It's Thanksgiving, so be like the families we talked about today, and put your family first. Well, don't be like the Sopranos, because Tony sort of emotionally abandons his son and cheats on his wife, and Carmela sort of lives vicariously through her daughter and is a hypocrite. Just be like the Incredibles.